everybody. Welcome back to our podcast where we talk about whatever we want. And today it's going to be about the AI voices that we've seen popping up lately, and specifically for celebrities. So, on this episode of Black Nerd Talk, you're going to get our opinions on what the future of AI is looking like in the music industry.
Yeah, and I'm relatively disgusted.
Oh, my
Because
name's Bonbon623, and this is my co-host.
oh, great day every day.
Okay.
And yeah, and I'm here because I haven't seen it on the celebrity end, but I've seen it in the music space. And as a person who adores music and is passionate about music,
Mhm.
it definitely don't appreciate it.
Now, it's really interesting how far it's come in such a short amount of time because it seems like at the top of the year, we were just starting to get more and more convincing deep fakes, but then they added the voice element to it, which really added a sense of danger to me because the fact that they could fake a video of like a politician saying any old crazy thing and
Right.
potentially starting a war about it.
And what's also scary about that is the how could I say this? It's almost like the devolving of professionalism and the what journalism has devolved to where people are just kind of saying like for example what Donald Trump was, how he just said what was on the top of his mind. It didn't go through any filter. While people may appreciate that in real life, it's like on a professional scale, it's like, oh, we can just say whatever. So it's like to bring in an AI to just kind of say whatever, and we're already kind of conditioned to more ignorance than usual. It'll be easy to be like, oh, well, I can't tell the difference.
Right. I also think a major problem is now what you seeing used to be believing, right? So then it was like, if you were caught on video doing XYZ, then you can't get around that. But now they could say,
Yeah,
this is you, or well, you did this, or this is your voice on the recording.
yeah, your voice and how easy is it to take a photo of you and digitize you in the video? Yeah, so
Mhm.
we're in some very serious territory with this shit.
And
you know,
specifically with the musical artists, because people are taking like Kanye's voice.
yeah.
Who else did I see?
I saw a video that did Kanye West, Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Rihanna, Kendrick Lamar,
Mhm.
and yeah, and like Kendrick Lamar's in my top five, so I'm sitting and listening to it, and I'm like, this. When I first heard it, I was like, damn, that's him. But I had to listen to it like three or four times. I could hear that it wasn't actually him. But
Mhm.
somebody whose ear isn't as fine tuned as mine, it's like they might hear it 10 times and be like, oh, this is what you call it.
Mhm.
Because I understand all his voice inflections, his highs and lows, the actual pitch. But yeah, it was just like, yeah, no, don't do this. Because
But
now we can say,
you're gonna have them come out and say something like crazy.
right. And then on top of that, you remember a few years ago the Tupac hologram?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like, so now we got the hologram in place. Then you got the AI. Well, pretty soon they're gonna do hologram tours.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can go see Michael Jackson in 2023. New music and all.
And that's the thing, because so when these celebrities pass, now
Mhm.
they have to try to have something in place to say you cannot use my voice to recreate new music or something. Because if you look at Marilyn Monroe, well,
Mhm.
they're just parading her likeness all up and down Hollywood. She has no say in any of these movies, these books, these depictions, any of these art pieces or whatever that are being put out in her name, and then people are making money off of her.
I can't wait. Like, I feel like if this is happening, like, you know how we get copyright striked on YouTube for something? These artists they need to hit this now.
Well, I
They
did
need to,
see some, I don't know who it was, like for example, say Columbia Records or something, they specifically
hmm
said, take our artists off of
yeah, they
software.
need to hit this. They need to hit this harder than they crack down on it because this is a fire that can get really out of control really fast.
Yeah, not to mention like if you're someone where you're like, oh, I want to do a collaboration with Beyonce, but obviously you can't.
Yeah, and you can pay for the you can pay for what you call it and sell like, hey, I got Beyonce featured on the album, and that yeah, I can't. Or another thing, let's say for instance, because see on the rap side, you'll have artists and they'll have a say a dude however many albums the deal is. The old deal used to be 5 albums, and
Mhm.
what it seemed like the common thing was an artist to get stuck up. They'll do 4 albums, and now they've gained their popularity. The label wants to hold on to you, and they won't let you put that fifth album out to where they want your buzz to bleed dry. Then they put it out, so they let you back out, and you're cold. I've
Mhm.
seen them do that, but it's like, so what if they were to hold the artist in his deal to where he got cold, and then, well, it's kind of hard to do that now because of social media. But
Mhm.
just thinking about a label releasing an album after an artist um has left their company, and it's disguised there's a this album is recorded by such and such, and
Mhm.
they use the AI voice. It's so many directions that this can go. It's not cool.
Not to mention if a song was unfinished or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Take the bunch of unfinished recordings and just put that AI voice in there for the hook or that last verse. It yeah, that that's kind of a lot for
It's a
somebody who like for
violation.
hmm?
It's a violation.
Yeah, that's why I said, man, they need to get on this fast because, like I said, this isn't me. Like, just for me, just loving music as much as I love it and being passionately connected to like the messages and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And to think that my music is going to be diluted by an artificial intelligence, I'll be able to tell. But if I get excited about a Kendrick Lamar album, I want to hear the Kendrick Lamar album. I don't want any nonsense mixed in with that because he's one of the artists. A lot of the rap that I love is very intelligent,
Yeah.
you know. And I can tell if there's a pinch of watered downness in it, you know. So yeah. So what does that mean for movies? Like especially when you have like, the animated films where the people voice over. It's like,
Mhm.
hey, this has Will Smith's voice in it, and
Well, yeah, because you know how if for voiceovers, if the actor passes away, if they have enough of that
yeah, and they
voice to use, they can just keep using it.
see. Speaking of that, is I just watched the Power Rangers movie. I text you about that shit was booty hole, but but so Jason David Frank passed, the which was the Green Ranger, White Ranger. They used the Green Ranger in the show, and it was his voice, but he never powered down. So, and then they ended up having to where he got captured. So you never seen his likeness, but
Hmm.
they used. I was like, I was wondering if they took it, if they stripped it from an old show, or AI. And see, that's the kind of stuff that leaves me feeling. It's almost like the term the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like that in a different kind of way. It's not so much visual, but it's more like it kind of creates an uncanny valley where you hear something. It's like, is that really real? Or
Yeah, and it also depends on who's in control of your estate after you pass away, and if that family member might be really greedy and they just don't.
right, and just don't care. Because a lot of people can be bought.
Yeah. I mean, you always see the breakdown in families when a celebrity passes away, and then this family member comes out the woodwork, and then this family member, and like, isn't Whitney Houston's family? Um,
They're warring,
Yeah.
and hey, that's terrible because you had Whitney and then the what was Bobby Christina, and
Hmm.
it's like, and then Bobby. It's Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's ultimately what happens when somebody passes. I've even seen examples of it in my family. You know,
Like I said, it always, once that money gets involved, people change quick.
I wonder if they change or they show who they really are.
Well,
That's what I think.
well,
Yeah, it's like you got this mask on, and soon as you see an opportunity, oh, that mask just came. You ran to it so fast, you ran out the house without your mask on. Like, oh, this who you really are.
well.
Yeah. So,
And
but
it's really interesting for me because as a graphic artist, and there was like a lot of AI art going around, and I thought it
that
was
was
really interesting.
I was gonna say that was the first place I started hearing about.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I've been heard about AI, but if we're talking about like just on a mainstream and a
Yeah.
consumption level, it was like the AI art. And I'm actually cool with a couple of people who take drawing and seriously,
Mhm.
and some of them loved it, and then others were like, "No, this is really, really bad. It's not real art." And I
Yeah.
can see it. I can see I can see what you can get to potentially with having AI art in the efficiency, but then the people who appreciate hand drawn, it's like this is the way I talk about music is like, okay, this is fake.
Mhm.
This is not written from the pen or from a brain or from the artist's brain at least. So
Yeah.
yeah, I could walk around here. I could use AI art and say this, do this, and it's like I didn't draw none of this shit. I just use. So that's just the I just hate the loss of integrity in anything, whether it be person, music. Its integrity is the most important thing to it.
I feel like it could have its place where it can be really helpful. So, like in the art world, I'm
Yeah,
not very good at backgrounds. I'm
yeah,
great at people, but backgrounds is very like
very
environment,
tough.
very
Yeah,
tough for me. So if I were to use an AI generated background and then put like my work over it or something and like integrate them together and kind of like draw
right,
off of that, I think that's one thing. The only problem with AI art is it's feeding off of other people's work already. So it's taking bits and pieces of their work. So, like, if I had art out there and it might take bits and pieces of mine and then reconstruct it to make it a new thing. And then someone could be,
right,
oh, well, I made this. And it's like, well, actually, it learned off of my art. So it's actually mine, which it's not very different from like if I sat here and I studied all these different artists and then I took inspiration from them and put it into my own art. And then people
mm,
were like, "Oh, well, that's fine because you studied it. You look at how they did their line art, how they did their color theory, and then you put your own spin into it or whatever."
right,
AI is not very different from that. It's just 100% faster.
right.
But
And
um, it's wrong if someone takes your art, does it into AI art, and then says, "This is my work. This is my brainchild." Well, no, it's not.
and then speaking to the nature of inspiration versus imitation,
Yeah.
um, if you're studying, say, this person, and then whatever you come up with, the way your hand hits the paper,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be an exact unless you're one of those people that's kind of like a robot, to where you can trace exactly as such.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's another thing too. If you just take something and you just rip it off completely, that's a thing too. Because somebody just taking your art and charading it as yours.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sorry, charading it as theirs, but it's actually yours. It's like I said, that's just the integrity piece. And
Yeah.
we're in an era to where people are almost like dope heads over a like or a view,
It's
you
got
know.
that
So
dopamine in it.
yeah, so you can sit and say, hey, I don't know any of the great artists, but you could say somebody could post a picture of they could create a fake account and say the latest art from, I guess, whoever an up and coming art person is.
Mm.
Yeah, that's I don't know, man. I get disgusted when we talk about the loss of integrity. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
But I
just so
think
many people.
it adds a layer of complexity to where, since we are in an AI type world now, people
Right,
might be willing to search out something that was made by someone organically instead. So then you would have to label like this is an AI art or whatever.
right.
But then if
I
you,
think it would be cool if they're strict about labeling it. Like if like what you
that's
said,
the
you
thing.
said if you said that, hey, I drew this picture and I used an AI background and it
Mhm.
was labeled that way, that's cool. But
Mhm.
I just don't like the idea of something being putting on this costume and then charading is something else. It's just if you say that you're I put it like this: it's like going to a cosplay event and a person saying, "Yeah, I'm cosplaying." That's cool. But if a person is acting as if in this character in real life, it's like this is not really who you are. Or unless you're really artificial or you're designed to be a copycat, then maybe that's it. But yeah, that's for me. That's definitely one of the topics that, like I said, I see both sides. But I'm just thinking about are people going to move with integrity in this space? And I severely doubt it.
Well, I think the part where the integrity is going to lose itself is the companies, because the
Right.
companies are going to be like, well, I could commission you as an artist for this, or I can
Mm,
come here to the AI thing and then create
yeah.
whatever I want
Right.
for $10 a month or whatever. And then that's that. And you don't have to pay me my rates. But then there
Right.
are people out there that will see the value in having a person draw the thing for them that ever they want, which means that my rates are going to start getting higher because I'm still going to have to be able to afford to do these things. Which case, I saw someone get real bent out of shape where he was like, oh, well, you just need to be better in your field and you need to not be replaceable because see me, I work in this like Fortune 500 company or whatever. And if I email somebody and I make a mistake, then I lose us millions of dollars, da 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 da. And so my job is really important. And then the following week, Chat GPT came out and it's like, oh, guess what, babes?
Right.
They can write an email.
Right.
And guess what they're not going to do? Make a mistake.
Right. Funny thing about that chat GBT, I don't know where the line starts and stops. But I like that text I sent you. I seen something where they said there's a specific AI that passed the test that only 10% of people passed.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's if we're talking about simulated intelligence, it's like that's kind of scary because when are we gonna? So now we're gonna go full our robot.
I think it's only a problem when it actually isn't learning off of anything that it's being fed and it starts thinking for itself, which it hasn't. So, as far as the AI art, it's learning off of art that already exists on the internet. So, anybody that uploads anything, it could be learning off of my art for all I know. But the
Okay.
moment that it actually starts producing art on its own is when we've jumped out the window. That's when we've turned a corner.
Yeah. And AI learning is that's a scary thing. The capacity to learn.
Because it's so fast.
Yeah, because it's like if it can learn, if it can learn your art style, who's to say it can't learn that it doesn't need something to learn from?
Mm.
Or yeah, it's yeah, this is this is interesting.
So
This
then
is
when it comes to the idea of industry plants or whatever, they could
mm,
just as easily use these AI voices and chat GPT or whatever to come up with any kind of creative rhyme scheme or whatever
right,
and produce artists that way. And they can just kind
right.
of send them out by the boatloads.
So AI art specifically, is it like is it in an app that you can download? Like how
Mhm.
is it kind of like let's say for instance if you were going to and this is for educational reasons only. I'm not suggesting nobody use AI art unless you want to. I don't know if it's illegal, legal. I'm just curious to know
Mm.
how a person would go about getting some AI art. Just download an app that as a feature.
There was this app that was going around, I think it was at the end of last year. It was like Linsa or something, and I actually used it.
Oh, okay. I did hear about that
Yeah,
one.
so you uploaded a bunch of selfies and then it kind of produced pictures of like an animated type situation. And some of them were really good. And I was like, oh my God,
Right,
this is really nice. I can use this to learn how to do glasses because glasses is still like a hard part for me. So since I had my glasses on in all those pictures, it had a bunch of like instances of from like different angles and like how they conceptualized it or whatever. So in that way, super cool. I loved it. I thought it was super dope. A lot of people were mad though because they were like, this is copyright infringement. This is somebody else's work.
right.
However, the other argument on the other side of that is somebody is behind these programs. There's programmers behind these programs. Somebody wrote that programming is an art. But
Right.
there's a lot of gray area, and right now there isn't any laws about it because there was this art competition where a person that created an AI art entered against everybody else that was doing traditional hand-drawn art, and the AI
Mhm.
artist won. And so all of
Yeah,
the artists was like, well, this isn't fair because he spent
right,
far less time getting this picture together than we did,
right.
and there's nothing
Yeah.
about it. And but I think it can be helpful as far as like when it comes to the medical field or the scientific field, and we can make a whole lot of leaps and bounds in that way. But when it comes to the creative field, then the waters start getting murky.
And then, but then on the flip side of that is it's just putting a lot of it. So if company, this hypothetically speaking, any of those fields that use specific art, if an
Mhm.
AI is generating the art, so many artists they're just cutting. They won't even be able to make money no more.
Yeah,
And it's just sad thinking about how artificial the world is becoming and how people are. Everything has a pro and a con, and
yeah,
it's like it seems like people are just in love with the artificial nature because, like I say, you can cut out a person, but it's like, okay, here's one more person that you put out of business.
yeah.
And next thing you know, if we're running a whole AI generated society, how dangerous is that going to be for the actual people living in the community?
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it would be up to these massive companies to care about things like that. And the bad part is we know that they won't.
exactly. And the funny thing is, it's like if they don't even understand how the economy works, like the economy is the circulation of the dollar. If hypothetically, if I work at the shoe store and I make my check, then I can go over here to the pizza shop and get me a pizza and pay the pizza man. Then the pizza man can go over to the movie theater and watch the movie, and the movie theater person can come to my shop and get shoes.
Mhm.
Or you know what I'm saying? And it's like you take if that element comes out of society, and I'm just kind of theorizing for like a distant future. It's
Mhm.
like shoot, the companies will put themselves out of business by replacing everything with AI because where are the people, the consumers, going to get the money to come buy the? You know what I'm saying? Even if you have groceries in the grocery store, if I don't have a job because these other companies have took my job with AI, I can't even afford the groceries no more.
Yeah. I think we're
So
going to start seeing a lot of people who thought that their jobs were super secure and that AI could never do their job. I think
right,
we're going to
that's
start
yeah,
seeing it.
yeah, that's crazy to
Yeah.
get replaced by a robot that
You
can
can
do what you
make
do.
that massage is pretty like hands-on, people oriented, but I mean, there's a
Right,
lot of massage chairs out there. There's a lot of massage, like little massage guns that you can use at home.
right,
There's those bed massage table things.
right.
It's not the same, but it's,
I
it's
think I
massage.
think like let's just say for instance with a massage specifically, everybody has a different level of pain tolerance, and I don't know if a machine, because like just I think about the deal that goes wrong. Like say for instance, you have one setting or three settings, and
Mhm.
on your softest setting, it works on this person, but then the next person comes through on the softest setting, it has bruised their skin, possibly cut the skin, depending on if whatever type of layer they will put on the hands. What
Mhm.
if it, you know that's the scary thing about AI. It's like it doesn't have that human component. Like think about autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
It's like it's designed to go to a destination and it has sensors to sense a person, but what's the height? What what's the range of what it detects? And it possibly runs over a small dog and flattens it
Mm.
because it didn't hit the radius. Those are the kind of things that make this stuff scary. You take out the end time, like, oh, okay, this is not nothing detecting it. I see this and I can break,
Yeah.
so crazy.
It's very interesting and it's happening very fast.
Yep. Um, so what's like have you seen what type of incident in the AI world that you've seen has caused the most commotion? Because I think you may be following this closer than I have.
I think when we got to the point where they were starting to be able to mimic voices, it,
Oh, that's one of the, I guess so, because like I said, that's the biggest one for me is the music.
yeah, I think that was the biggest one because I think they put out a video of like maybe it was Obama or something saying something, and that's when people were like, "Oh no." It wasn't him saying anything bad, but it wasn't a real video. So they're
Right.
like, well, if they can do that just like for shits and giggles, someone with very ill intent could go on there and pick a world leader and have him saying, some real rah 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 type stuff. And then here we are, World War III.
And and I'm thinking about like that's putting into the atmosphere that we will have to go and get our likenesses copyrighted, our voices copyrighted, and how much is that shit gonna cost?
And that's the problem. And then if you're an average Joe like me and you, we're SOL
Right,
because not that we would be like big enough for someone to want to target us or whatever, but if someone put a video together of me out there saying, "Oh, Bon Bon said this XYZ,"
right. You can it moves faster than you can put the fire out at the
and then people will be like, "Well, you're caught on video. You said this," and I'm like, well, "No, I didn't." But I mean, like,
this is
what
yeah,
anything? I
this is
can't
just
hide
crazy.
about that.
Yeah, this is crazy taking all this in and one this is kind of like the first deep dive I've had in this field. I've seen it, but
Mhm.
I've never this is probably my first real conversation and thinking about how far this can go.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think back to the Kanye thing because he's already said wild stuff over the years.
And wait,
If they put out
not
a
even
video of him saying something else, it's
but
believable.
look, you know what I just thought about with Kanye specifically? I think he's kind of canceled right now. He has no so they can throw something out there and he can't do nothing about it.
Because if they put a video of him out there saying something just wild, people will be
Right.
like,
Yeah.
he's already said XYZ, so this is probably real, right?
This is probably real, but like I said, if he's because you know that I think Donald Trump was on a social media ban, like he can't post anywhere.
Mm,
So if Kanye is on that same type of ban, somebody can just throw that in there, and he can't even. He would have to create a platform,
mm.
and that hell, and how will people find out about it? You can't
And
even post about it on this.
don't care because they would be like, well, this falls in line with your character.
Yeah. This is so all this shit is thrown.
Right. That's why I was like, as soon as they got
Yeah,
the voices down, that's for me is where we hit that critical level of, oh no,
right.
this is bad. Because it was already bad with the deep fakes when people were using celebrity faces and putting them on like OnlyFans and like the the no sites.
Right.
Like that's already hard enough, but like now we're adding voices to it too. My
But
gosh.
yeah, Yeah, you can make a little TikTok reel with a face and a voice and get a millions of views, and all that shit was made up.
Now there is a YouTube channel right now of it's like a gaming channel, I think, and they use the voice of Trump, Biden, and Obama, and they're like,
We're talking about they were arguing with each other about basketball, wasn't it?
yeah, something like that. And
Yeah,
it's like a
I think
parody channel, and it's amusing or whatever, but it's like it's fine when someone is doing it for like harmless fun, but the moment
right.
that they're not,
Yeah, you know,
because it sounds just like them. It has
exactly,
inflections and tone and everything.
exactly. I did see that.
Mhm.
They were, if I'm not mistaken, they were arguing about the NBA playoffs.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. See, now what's funny about that is I didn't even know that was AI. I thought that was a person because there are people that are really good with the voice mimicry,
Mm-mm.
and I've seen plenty of people do it with voice. They just have the picture of the person up, but like now we're in a space where it's like, oh, that was AI. That wasn't somebody mimicking the voice, and it's like, damn, it's crazy. I took that in as a parody of voice mimicking, but you're telling me that that was AI voice, and I'm like, see, this is that uncanny valley
Mhm.
territory I'm talking about.
It's
you
like
know,
girls, like the limit does not exist.
right?
It's
Yeah, see, and that's why I believe in certain traditions being in place. Like there needs to be a limit.
well, they don't have any laws out yet because it's all just happening so fast and so new that they're trying to figure
Right.
out what kind of
Well,
could you put in place.
I'm kind of of course, but I'm just kind of speaking in general. Like we just have this view that everything just needs to go further and further and further, and I just don't feel like that's necessary. I feel like knowing what you are and having the stopping point of you should be enough. That's just like a general idea because another idea could pop up tomorrow and spread like wildfire. And the fact that people have this limitless view of things,
Yeah.
it's like that. That's what's dangerous. It's not the things that exist. That's the problem. Is how people use them. It's no different from the firearm conversation. So many people have a negative view of firearms when firearms are not flying around executing people. It's people taking the firearm and doing said thing.
Mhm.
It's people taking. I don't blame social media for the decline of communication, but it's just how people use it. People would log into a social media account and say something on the internet that they wouldn't say face to face,
Mhm.
and then this AI art, which could be cool if used properly, but somebody's going to try to monetize it. So it's like people just don't have any limits with this, with what they do.
Yeah, yeah. There's a YouTube channel called the Corridor Crew, and they use
Mm-hmm.
AI to make a short film. And it was really,
Yeah,
really cool because they're all animators. And they were like,
right,
what can we do to make this process go faster? And it was
right,
super dope. So in that way, I think it's really cool. But the
cool,
fact
right,
that it can be monetized in not the best manner,
right.
and I think that's where like the limit doesn't end because as long as you can monetize whatever the thing is, it's just going to keep going and keep
You
going.
go ahead, right. Yeah, yeah. I think
I
we
guess
can.
we'll just see.
Yeah, see if some sort of form of structure and order can come of this, and just hopefully it just doesn't massacre the artists that are left. Because me, since I'm not really tuned into art, I don't know who the popular artists today are,
Mhm.
and I don't know how this is affecting them and their income and their. It's like I said, just kind of conceptualizing. It's like wow, it just kind of make me see full scope. Like I say, I've seen the autonomous cars. I see them trying to make the robots that do grocery stocking, and it's like now we're going into the artistic creative space, and it's almost like they're concerned with putting every person out of business in favor of something they don't have to pay.
Exactly.
Well, they'll pay for it initially to install it, but it doesn't receive a perpetual repetitive check like a person would need
Right.
in the name of business expense or payroll, saving money, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. This is an interesting topic. I'm probably going to be looking more into this to, since it's, like I said, just speaking about it like this, now I'm going to probably start looking and seeing how heavy this is and how far along. Well, I know it's pretty far along, but it's a real thing now. So
Yeah.
something I got to start looking at.
It used to be the tell that you can tell AI art because the hands would be all messed up, but it's
Mm.
even figuring that out.
And now you can't even tell that no more. Crazy.
So, mm,
Well, I guess we'll close out on that. We got a couple minutes left, but yeah, you any crazy experience, anything that you've seen in the AI field that scared you, or
mhm,
we can have a discussion in the comments. Like I said, this is more new for me, or like I'm gonna say I haven't deep dived in it, so a lot of this video today was just kind of news to me.
mm.
But
Feel like your job might be threatened by AI in the future? Let me know in the comments.
right, but other than that, we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Two piece.
I lied.